welcome back to the Autumn Acorn Knits. My name is Judy, and this is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, yarn dyeing, embroidery, all the crafty things. I'm coming to you today from the cottage. This is where I originally started out podcasting from, and then I've switched it up to like the barn. Sometimes I'm in the barn, sometimes I'm in my craft loft, and then often I'm out here. So I have a little fire started because it's chilly. It's really actually cold. My toes are freezing. But I have a hot coffee, and I'm trying to get snuggled up. I've got my new poncho on, the Charlie poncho, which I'll be talking about in a little while. And yeah, I should say this is podcast episode number 23, and you can find me on all the social media channels as the Autumn Acorn, except for I have a knitting group that you can join called the Autumn Acorn Knits, and this podcast is called the Autumn Acorn Knits. But you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, regular Facebook, and I have a website, and I'll put all the information down here somewhere. Let's see, today we are going to talk about the 1,000 followers giveaway. I'm going to share with you finished object, a couple of works in progress, some future projects, acquisitions. I have a shop update, some chatter, and then 2 giveaways, because I have to make up for the giveaway that I didn't do last time I podcast and the one from before that. So we have 2 today. Also, something new is I'm really trying to work hard on a newsletter. I have sent out 2 already in October, and I plan to release another one soon. I'd like to keep it to 2 a month, but sometimes it may be 3. But there's a new way you can sign up for that newsletter if you're interested, and it's kind of cool and kind of like modern, which I'm not, but you text to number 22828, just text the word the Autumn Acorn. And I've had people do this in all uppercase, so probably we should stick to that. And that will magically add you to the mailing list. So yeah, I hope more of you will sign up, because it's a great way for me to keep in touch with you and to tell you when I have a new podcast out, and when new product is released, and when I have a new pattern, and when I have free patterns, and just to keep you in touch what's going on in my life. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we'll get right into it. So let's start with the shawl, which was a work in progress and is now a finished object. It's going to be really hard to show it to you. You can kind of see it. You can sort of see it. I have photos though that I will put in. So that it's much easier to see. But basically it is knit flat. You can use circular or straight needles, and then you will start doing your decreasing for the neck and then increasing, and then you're going to work your way down the front, and then the way that it's assembled, and you just have a seam on one side, then you assemble it so that these stripes are then diagonal. So it's kind of a neat construction, pretty easy. I used all of my own naturally dyed yarns, and I talked about this in the last episode, so I won't go into it in too much detail, but each of these colors is my own naturally dyed yarns using natural materials. So I'm really enjoying wearing this. This is the size large, extra large. I also have it in a size small and medium, but this one is just longer and a bit wider. And I have test knitters knitting away on it right now, so they are supposed to be finished by November 9th, I believe it was, and then hopefully it will be released shortly after that. So stay tuned for the Charlie Poncho. Also, I have two works in progress. One of them had to be sadly torn out, and I don't remember. I want to say the last time that we talked, yes, I told you about the problem I was having with the color. So I had tried to dye a yarn with hibiscus to match the hibiscus yarn that I had already added to this particular shawl. And when I dyed it up before I went to Connecticut, I realized it did not match. It just wasn't going to work. So I just ended up frogging it. I just tore it all out and gave up. And said, well, then if that's not going to work, then I will just frog it and make it work with a different color yarn. So what I ended up doing was just grabbing some white wool that I had in a sport weight or cream. The light is not very good right now. It's like 11:30 in the afternoon, October 25th, I believe. And so yeah, the lighting is not the best, but cream. And then here is what's left of the shawl. And it's very, very wrinkly, as you could tell. So all of, I'd say, oh, definitely, yes, from here up, I had to tear out, and then I redid it in this beautiful yarn by Joseph and Annie. The name of this base, rather, is Joseph and Annie in their cinnamon colorway by Abundant Earth Fiber, which is just a gorgeous woolly wool, pure wool. And what did I add? Sorry. I added some Jagger Spun, which is spun in Maine, some organic wool, like I said, sport weight, and here is the ball band. This is the same yarn that I made my Deschain tee with, but it was in a different taupey color than this. So anyway, this is my own design, and I plan to add another stitch pattern to this design, and it will be an asymmetrical shawl, so stay tuned for that. Oh, and I'm using my Chow Goose red lace. Best needles ever. I am also working on a brand new design that I just started yesterday because I had nothing else on my needles, of course. Not. Anyway, this is, again, another new design, so I won't say too much about it, but what I really am excited to show you is some of my very early on hand-dyed yarn. I had dyed this probably, it was either the second or third time that I attempted to dye wool. So let me show you. I've shown you this before, but it is now caked up. And it's just a lot of fall colors. It's blowing out quite a bit. It is, yeah, a lot of oranges and browns and rust and greens and yellows and red, even like some pinks, but definitely all fall colors. I have 3 hanks, and here is how it looks knit up. I'm really happy with the way that it's knitting up. I am switching out my skein, so every 2 rows I switch to a new cake, because I don't want, you know, these are all quite different. You could see one is a lighter shade and one is darker, and the other one is sort of in the middle, and I don't want there to be obvious sections, but I do really like how it's coming out stripy like this. So I got quite a bit done yesterday. This is fingering weight yarn, but I was so excited about how it was knitting up that I just couldn't stop. And I'm really into the fall shades so much lately. I just can't tell you how much I'm enjoying all the yellows and golds and rust colors. So yeah, this is exciting and coming along so far exactly how I wanted it to and how the picture looked. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. My fingers are frozen. They're so cold. Can you see? Look at this one. This is what happens. I have what's called Raynaud's. This one is starting to turn white now. And before long, all of my fingertips will be white and super, super painful. This side is not, it's not happening yet, but you can definitely see the difference when it does. It is so, so painful. It happens to my toes too. And the only thing that really helps it is hot water. So I have to just put them in hot water for quite a while, and then they'll come, the blood will rush back and they'll start to like throb, and then before I know it, I'm feeling much better. So I do whine about that quite a bit in the cool weather because it is just so debilitating at times. Really makes it hard to knit. I have been talking to Harrisville Designs, which is a mill that's right here in New Hampshire, and they have agreed to collaborate with me on yarn support. So super sweet. So I received this lovely package in the mail yesterday. Here it is in the bag. There are 5 gorgeous skeins of their Highland collection. Their Highland base, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So this is 100% pure virgin wool, 200 yards, 100 grams, made in the USA, spun by Harrisville Designs in New Hampshire, which is in Harrisville, New Hampshire, and the website is harrisville.com. This, like I said, is the base is called Highland, and the color is number 82 straw. I love the color, to be honest, though on their website it looked a lot more golden, yellowish golden. But I do really think this is a very pretty color. So I'm keeping it. Definitely going to keep it and design something with it. But, and I believe it will be either a pullover or a cardigan. I'm not sure which yet, but I should have enough for one or the other. So yeah, that'll be really exciting. So stay tuned for a future project using some nice woolen spun woolly wool. Oh, I should have said that is a worsted weight. Oh, I'm wearing another acquisition, if you could see it. It is a beautiful lava bead inside, so this is diffuser jewelry. And I also have a bracelet that was given to me. Both of these were given to me as a gift by Katie, who is my son-in-law's sister. She came to visit with her husband last weekend, and I thought it was just the sweetest thing that she thought of me. Her Aunt Nina makes all kinds of jewelry, but often makes lava jewelry, or diffuser jewelry as I call it. So just a couple of drops on the stone or on one of these lava stones, and you can smell the essential oils pretty much all day, and for the next several days. It will last a long time. So really great stuff. I'll put the website here. It's Harlow Designs, but I will put the website here, or not the website, but there should be a link to get to the jewelry. They're still working on a website for Nina's shop. So whenever, as I've mentioned before, I am a distributor for Young Living essential oils. I've been doing that for, gosh, about 3 years now. I absolutely love it, and anytime I have a new team member join my team, they get a diffuser breakfast. They get a diffuser bracelet made by Nina from Harlow Designs. So yeah, it's just another little perk to joining my team. So more acquisitions. Oh, I forgot them in the house. I wanted to show you all of the progress keepers that Joe made. He spent the afternoon one day just making, like, gosh, it had to be 100 of them. They're beautiful. He's really creative, and I had just kind of given him some basic guidelines, and he went above and beyond and made them even prettier and fancier. So really sweet of him. I will try to show you next time. Let's move on to shop update. So I will try to do this rather quickly. It is just yarn this time. So I did my very first batch of minis. I love minis. I've never dyed them before, but I thought, why not? Let's try it. And I had so much fun. So I just spent an afternoon just doing this. So I will show you what I came up with. So we have, by the way, these are all 80-20, so 80% merino, 20% nylon, and they are all in 10 gram or 40 yard skeins. So these were all done using cochineal. So a very pretty pink. These were also done with cochineal, only they're a darker, kind of a rosy color. See, these are a little peachy, pretty. Then, oh, I love these. These two were dyed using white birch bark, and I left the minis closed when I put them in the dye bath, so they have this very pretty variegated look. But love those. And here we have logwood. Now logwood is supposed to dye up purple, and I keep getting this pale straw yellow color, which by the way I love, but it's not logwood. So if any of you are natural dyers and know what I'm doing wrong, it must be the mordant. I was really careful this time not to use vinegar, just in case it was vinegar. And I want to say I used citric acid, but I still ended up with a pretty straw color, which again, I do love, but I wouldn't mind having it be purple. This was done with some black tea. One of my favorite things to dye with are tea and coffees. I just think they give such a beautiful color. Kind of blowing out a bit. Very similar to the color in my poncho. which by the way was named after my granddaughter. I forgot to tell you that. While I was in Connecticut last time, babysitting Charlie for, I think it was 5 days, every time she napped or slept at night, I was working on this poncho. So every time I see it, it reminds me of Charlie girl. So, okay, these were also made with black tea, only darker because they were the first dye bath. Isn't that such a pretty color? So rich. And I saved the best for last. I think they're the best anyway. These are my minis dyed up with madder root. Oh my goodness, look at those. So pretty. I am in love with this color. In love. So much. I want an entire wardrobe in just this color. I'm not even kidding. Then these two were also not, they were left all tied up in the hanks, so they came out variegated. Wish I hadn't put these on yet. Should have shown you first, but these are Joe's favorite. He loves these two. And then these two are just a bit lighter. Again, later in the dye bath you get lighter colors, but oh, the madder. The madder. It is the most glorious color. I just love it. So yeah, that was super fun. I enjoyed that. I think I dyed up 40. So these will be available in the shop. I just have to get them listed, but I hope to have them up by the time you watch this podcast. So I also decided I had extra dye left in the bath, so I figured why not throw in some hanks, some full-size hanks. So these are my sock yarn base. So madder, this is a set. Can you even handle how beautiful that color is? And I do think it's blowing out. It's so hard to get true colors, but oh my word, I am in love with this set. So these are both sock weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 400 yards, 100 grams. So a new base that I'm using. So I'm so happy with it so far. So there's that one, and then this again, madder root, believe it or not, but second or third bath. You could still see though some of the darker orange is coming through all throughout the yarn. So gorgeous. Love it. Here was one with cochineal. It's a very pretty pink. And then we have another madder root later on when there wasn't as much, but we got some speckling there. You just never know what you're going to get with natural dye. But there's definitely oranges speckled throughout this pretty hank. Love it. You could tell I was really in the madder mood. This one though was pumpkin spice tea, another favorite. Came out really cool. Again, some variegation in there. Isn't that pretty? Love it. And this one was more tea. Beautiful shade from the tea. And then this last one will be over dyed because this was a fail, and you'll see why. This one was a cochineal, but it turned out that it took on some tan shades in there that just don't quite work with the pink. So I'll be over dyeing this one. that will not be going in the shop, but the rest of them will. So if you're interested in grabbing some of my sock yarn, this would be the time to do it. Oh, my favorites. I hope they don't sell. I really want to keep them. I love them. Look at that. Oh, so gorgeous. Anyway, that is shop update. We should move on to what's your problem. So last episode I had started a new segment called What's Your Problem? And it's where I take a couple of viewers' questions and try to answer them. Well, last week I had tried to answer a question on joining to, you know, when you're making a scrappy blanket and you want to join all those ends together, how you can do it without really showing. Well, I had shown you, how am I going to do this now? Try to do it. I'm just going to try to explain it to you. So I had tried to show you how you can do a magic ball. And I showed you how you would take your two ends, you would tie a knot here, tie a knot here, and then that kind of magically just your ends disappear. Well, a very kind viewer had pointed out that I missed an important step, and she's right. I had forgotten to tell you that at the end of tying those two knots here, you needed to pull. And when you do that, those two knots will go together and they'll touch. And then, no matter what you do, when you pull, you'll never pull those two apart. You do end up with a little knot, but you can actually cut the threads as close to that knot as you want, and it won't come apart. So I apologize for not giving you all of that information, and I'm also going to apologize for not being prepared today to show you the correct way. I had everything all set up to podcast in the house, and then I can't really do it when anyone's around. It's just awkward and embarrassing, and I don't know. So Joe decided he wasn't going to be going where he was supposed to be going, and so I grabbed everything and came out here and decided to do it here, and I'm not as prepared as I would have been if I was in there, so my apologies. But there were some other problems that you guys had, and one of them was about t-shirt yarn. So you asked, where can you find it? And I know that the sources that I have found on Etsy tend to be pretty expensive, but that's because it's not something you can just, you have to make it. So when I couldn't find it before, I used to make my own. So I thought I would just show you a little bit about how I did that. So I would buy t-shirts. Here's an example of a t-shirt that I never did turn into yarn. And then I also bought these electric scissors, basically is what they are. Electric cutter. And this is intended for fabric. So you just simply turn it on, which I won't do right now, and you cut. You would cut through the t-shirt. And you're going to cut, let's see if I could show you. You're going to try to cut in rows like this. Go this way, and then you'd come back this way. Now that's one way you could do it, or you could go all the way around and then just do it that way, coming through like a spiral. But as long as you're trying to get the longest strips that you can from your t-shirt, and you don't want them very thick, very wide. Once you're finished cutting, all you have to do, so this one's already been done, but this, if it were not done, would be flatter. And then once you get a certain length, you just pull tight, and that's what turns it into this, what looks like yarn. It curls it up. into a little piece so that you end up with yarn, and then you wind it up. So it's very sturdy. But yeah, this is one t-shirt, this much. And I don't think there are any knots in this. I think this is just one continuous strand of a cream colored t-shirt. But I mean, these really help if you're going to be making a lot of this, and I used to make tons of it. It really helps to have this handy device, because otherwise, you know, all that cutting will just give you blisters and will make you go crazy. So I hope I explained that well enough. It is a lot easier to show you, but I also knew that I wasn't really prepared for that, so hopefully that helps. Thank you for your question, by the way. I appreciate it. The other question was about reusing old sweaters. I saw a video not long ago about a man who goes to thrift shops because he loves to knit and he can't afford nice wool, and he buys thrifted sweaters and he takes them apart and uses that yarn to make other really cool things. So I used to do that too, and I thought it was wonderful and a great way to get nice wools. So when I was in Connecticut, I went to a consignment store and I found this sweater and decided to try to take it apart and use the beautiful wool. Well, I was unable to untangle it or unknit it, basically. I tried everything, and at that point it had already had a few holes in it, so I knew I wouldn't be able to do much else with the sweater. So I felted it, which is what I really love to do, even more than untangle sweaters, is just felt it. So that's what I did. I threw this in the machine, and then it turned into this very dense, thick felt fabric that now can be cut and used for anything that you need a thick wool felt fabric for. So even though I didn't get to use it for what I wanted to, which was to untangle it and have all that nice wool, at least I have all this beautiful fabric, pure wool fabric. So those are two options when you do go to the thrift store to find a sweater to unwind or untangle or unknit. You know, first of all, you want to make sure it is 100% wool, and then take a look at the seams to see how easy or not easy it would be to undo those seams, because not all sweaters, if you find a homemade one, if you're lucky enough to find a handmade one, it'll probably come apart a lot easier than these machine-made ones. But yeah, I have a whole bag here of just different wools from the past that I've gotten, or sweaters rather, that I've turned into this really pretty dense wool fabric. It doesn't always work out. This one was a beautiful cashmere, so this is a much thinner fabric. I probably could have washed that one quite a few more times to felt it. This one felted up really thick and dense and lovely. Not all wool will felt as well. This one felted up beautifully too. You know, this one not as well. This also has some sun damage, but it just wasn't as happy. You could still see the ridges, so that means that it didn't felt into a completely dense fabric, but it was worth a try. This one also felted up beautifully. It's wrinkled and a mess, but it came out to be a very, very nice fabric. And yeah, so super fun. This is how I've made some quilts and other things, but love to reuse things that are found. Is that? So let's see. Chatter. Like I said, we had family over last weekend. That was really fun. We did a lot of leaf peeping. The leaves are incredibly gorgeous here in New Hampshire. That was super fun, and they just were really, it was really enjoyable. And then the weekend before that, Joe's friend Brent came over from Ohio, and we spent some time with Brent. I think he was here for 4 days. That was really enjoyable. And oh, this is so cool. So my cousin, so he'd be my second cousin, has recorded all of these audio recordings of my great-great-grandmother. She passed away quite a few years ago, but before that, he had taken the time to sit down with her and recorded many, many, many hours of her life, and her talking about her family and just growing up in Vermont. She grew up in East Corinth and Montpelier, Vermont, and just listening to her like brings me back to being a child and visiting their home. They lived in a wonderful farmhouse in East Montpelier, and in fact they had the very first round barn in, I believe, in Vermont, if not in New England, or if not anywhere, I'm not sure, but definitely the first one in Vermont. So pretty cool history. And she was an amazing knitter. So some of my fondest memories for Christmas were her hand knits. She would make the most beautiful doll clothes and mittens that were like little puppets. So they had little mouths and things. And so while I'm listening to her stories, she gets to a very, very sad story. I won't go into any details now, other than that there was a fire. And when she emerged from that fire and was brought by car to stay with someone because, to get out of the smoke damaged home, when she got out of the car, she was quite a sight. She said that she was covered in soot, and her face, everything was black, and her eyebrows and her eyelashes and her hair were singed, and she was holding on to a box. That was the only thing she had with her. And so she said that inside that box was her knitting. So she had grabbed, in the chaos, her knitting, which was, she said, had a little white sweater in it. And I just broke down and cried, because I'm like, oh, that is so something I would have done. And it just touched me, and it was the sweetest thing to hear. And yeah, so I think I know where I get my my knitting love from great grandma Mary Adelaide. So yeah, I'm so excited to continue listening to those audio recordings and hopefully to transcribe them, because they're fascinating. They're very, very interesting. I think anyone would be interested in this story, and not just someone who's related to her. So the giveaways are for a pattern, any pattern that you would like from my collection on Ravelry. It does not include the Charlie Poncho yet, but if you'd like to wait, if you win and you'd like to wait to get the Charlie Poncho, that is perfectly fine. We can do that. And I did random number generator. I recorded it, and I will make sure I put the recordings here so you could see them. But the winners are, drum roll please, winner number 1, Jennifer Barr. And your question was, when I asked what should I design next, you were very interested to see something with crochet edgings on knitwear. So congratulations, Jennifer Barr, and you have won a free pattern. Just let me know which pattern you'd like, and I will get that out to you. Winner number 2, her name on YouTube is Soul Stitches. And the question that I had asked for this giveaway was, how long do you think a podcast should be? And you said you believe no podcast is ever long enough. So congratulations, Soul Stitches. Please let me know what pattern you would like and I will get it out to you. That was really fun. I am getting geared up for the 1,000 follower giveaway, which will be taking place whenever I reach 1,000 followers. We're getting closer every day, and I have some really wonderful donations, some prizes that are being sent for this giveaway. So that's going to be fun and exciting, and I plan to do it the giveaway on YouTube and on Instagram. And so stay tuned. That will be coming up very soon. So fun. So then I wanted to move on to viewers' questions. So Q&A, quick Q&A. The first question I received was from Judith Meiselbeck. Judith said, or Judy, she goes by, I think, says, I saw you wearing a green poncho on Pinterest. Is that pattern still available? And that was a pattern that I had written quite a while ago that I really wanted to, or felt I needed to update. So that it's just a simple poncho, and I am working on that pattern, Judy. So yes, that will be available again. It is not available right now, but I appreciate that you like it. That was a real popular one, so just being updated. So stay tuned for that. Next question was by Rebecca Swanson, also known as Bexter_S on Instagram. If I could only choose 3 things, cleaning products, health and beauty, etc., to be eliminated from my household, what should they be? The first thing I would start with would be your cleaning, whatever you're using to clean. Chances are that it's filled with some kind of chemical or some kind of dangerous toxin. If you have children crawling around or walking around in barefoot, or adults on your floors, that all those toxic chemicals are seeping into their bloodstream or your bloodstream, and they're just not healthy. All the countertops you clean, all of that. I use one product, and it's called Thieves, and it's the household cleaner. It is a very concentrated cleaner that smells delicious, like fall. It does have clove and cinnamon and other wonderful things in it. Been proven to kill germs, I think 99.9% of the time, but is perfectly safe. In fact, you can spray it around food. You can let little children clean with this. It won't matter if it gets on them, on their hands, on their feet, anywhere on their body, really. It's perfectly safe and wonderful to clean all surfaces with. So that's the only thing that I will use or have used for the last 3 years. I will never go back to Windex or bleach or any of those horrible cleaners again. So that would be the first thing. The second thing I'd get rid of right away is your deodorant. You use antiperspirant. Probably most people use antiperspirants. And they're just so bad for you, especially for women. You can look it up. You can look up what are the dangers of antiperspirants, and you'll be pretty shocked. But I make my own. I simply get a glass spray bottle, add some witch hazel and a bunch of different essential oils. I'll try to share that recipe. With you so that you could see, but definitely I put tea tree in there, things that are going to kill germs, fight odor, and yeah. And in the beginning, when you switch to a natural deodorant, because you're not trying to stop your body from perspiring is important, and it's a natural way for our bodies to detox. We need to perspire, but if you're just trying to smell better, you're going to go through a little period that's uncomfortable in the beginning. It took my body about 2 weeks to get used to it, and I ended up with a rash, a detox rash, itchy. But after that 2 weeks, I was perfectly fine and able to use my natural products. The third thing that I would say to get rid of, well, there's so many. I could go on forever, but I would choose your laundry detergent because not only do those have tons of toxins and fragrances in them, and fragrances are so toxic, but also, so it's on your clothing and then you're walking around with that odor all day. If you've ever used dryer sheets, you know that you can smell those dryer sheets days after when you pull out a towel or whatever from the clean clothes. So they stick with you all day long. Basically, you're diffusing these toxic chemicals. So I would do laundry soap next. I make my own laundry soap and it's wonderful. I love it. I will never go back to anything else. It saves me a ton of money and I only need the smallest amount per load, and I just feel so much better about it. So yeah. Another question is from Anastasia of Garden Wool and Dye. I just love her Instagram feed. She said, I just want to know more about your home. How long have you lived there? Did you build it? Etc., etc. So we did not build this home. We have been living here for almost 4 years. It was already built. It's a log cabin. It's a log home without buildings. And what else can I say about it? Let's see. It is in a very rural area of New Hampshire on a dirt road, kind of in the middle of nowhere. We're at the foot of the White Mountain National Forest, so lots of wildlife, moose, bear, you name it, are here. We do have a river not too far in the back that you can often hear when it's been raining or when we've had more rain. It's called the Baker River. It is one of the cleanest rivers in New Hampshire. It's just gorgeous. What else? We have, it's not a big house. I'm not sure, maybe 1,500 square feet. It has 2 loft bedrooms. One is my craft loft, one is our bedroom upstairs, and then downstairs it just has a dining room, kitchen, a great room, and a den. Oh, and a pantry as well. We turned one of the spare bedrooms into a pantry. There's also, like I said, this guest cottage that I'm filming from right now. And we have a barn, which I have also turned part of that into my dye studio for dyeing all my wool. We have a garage, we have a wood shed, and then we have a tool shed. So yeah, thank you for asking, Anastasia. I appreciate that. This podcast is already almost 50 minutes. I did have more Q&A questions, but I am going to save those for now. I'm going to save those for next week. If you have any questions you want to add to that, please feel free to ask me in the comments on this podcast. And also, if you don't mind, it really helps me to be seen if you don't mind sharing this particular video, or liking or subscribing if you haven't subscribed yet. And I will be choosing another winner for a free pattern next time my podcast. So if you did want to ask me a question, that question will be entered into the giveaway, and then random number generator will pick a winner next time we meet. Yes, there was another question also about how to make a hair growth spray. We call it mermaid spray, and I do want to talk about that. I have a bottle right here of some that I had made, but I do want to talk about that next time we meet because we ran out of time. So yes, I do hope you'll follow me on Instagram. That's where I am most of the time, at the Autumn Acorn, and think that's everything. Yeah, I hope to have the Charlie poncho released soon. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, I hope that the rest of your day is fun. I hope you get to have some time for crafting and knitting and all the things that you love to do. After this, I'm going to have some yummy lunch. And then I am going to be definitely working on a couple of my projects that I've been trying to get some progress on. So have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Just boiling up a little white birch, and we will see what color we get.
Yeah. The guy that I was cutting bricks with in the town, he was a last guy.